If you've ever felt invisible to a younger woman, or worse, watched her energy vanish the moment you try to impress her, you need to hear this. Most older men unknowingly make the exact mistakes that push women away, and the truth is, these mistakes are brutal and deeply psychological. I'm going to expose them for what they are so you can stop sabotaging your chances without even realizing it. Let's start with the first thing younger women absolutely cannot stand: insecurity disguised as wisdom. You think your experience gives you authority, but when you're constantly correcting her choices, commenting on her naivety, or acting like her life is incomplete without your guidance, it triggers a deep aversion. Younger women aren't just seeking excitement or novelty, they're wired to detect control disguised as mentorship. When you step in with a lecture, no matter how well-intentioned, it signals that you don't see her as an equal, and that emotional disconnection is immediate. The second subtle trap is overcompensation through displays of power. I see it all the time. Older men flaunting wealth, cars, social status, or physical prowess, assuming it will make them irresistible. What they fail to realize is that confidence isn't about possessions. It's about emotional presence. A woman can sense when your success is being wielded as a shield against vulnerability. And here's the kicker. Younger women are drawn to men who can express emotions without fear of judgment. Flashy power only works if it's coupled with calm, self-aware energy. Otherwise, it feels like a performance, and nothing kills attraction faster than a man who's pretending to be someone he isn't. Mistake number 3 is subtle but deadly: clinging to the past. Older men often bring their previous experiences, the heartbreak, the betrayals, the exes, into every new interaction. They believe sharing these stories signals depth. In reality, it signals baggage. Younger women are wired to notice emotional residue. They instinctively recoil from men who haven't fully processed their past. If you talk about how women are always like that, or how things used to be better in my day, you're creating a mental wall between you and her. She doesn't want to date history. She wants a man fully present, capable of making her feel like she's the only one in the room. Then there's the fourth trap: overanalyzing attraction. Older men are notorious for dissecting every word, every text, every glance. You think it shows intelligence or care, but it screams insecurity. Younger women are highly intuitive. They can feel when a man is fishing for validation, trying to decode her like a puzzle. What's more magnetic is effortless curiosity paired with playful mystery. She wants to be understood, yes, but she also wants a man who can flow with her energy rather than freeze in analysis. Obsessing over signals destroys spontaneity and replaces connection with tension. And we can't ignore the fifth psychological minefield: impatience with energy differences. Younger women often have a faster, more dynamic pace, socially, emotionally, mentally. Older men sometimes mistake this for recklessness or immaturity and respond by trying to slow her down. Here's the psychological truth: attraction thrives on rhythm, not control. Trying to slow her down or teach her a lesson triggers resistance, not admiration. Women crave freedom and emotional resonance, not correction. When you try to mold her into your tempo, you destroy attraction without even realizing it. Finally, one of the most damaging patterns is overstepping boundaries under the guise of experience. Older men think their insight entitles them to opinions about everything: her career, her friends, her lifestyle choices. But psychology shows that respect and autonomy are far more attractive than unsolicited advice. Overstepping boundaries creates subconscious tension. She may smile or nod, but her mind retreats. Attraction isn't about proximity, it's about emotional safety and intrigue. Every time you disregard her autonomy, even slightly, you chip away at it. The equation is simple: presence over control, curiosity over judgment, respect over correction. Yet most men miss this entirely. And while some of these behaviors seem minor, their emotional impact is massive. Younger women respond instantly to authenticity and retreat instantly from manipulation, subtle or overt. The key isn't tricks, games, or flashy gestures. It's psychological alignment, being the man who enhances her emotional state without diminishing hers. Think about this carefully, because the next sections will show you exactly how these behaviors escalate without your knowledge, and what to do instead to flip attraction in your favor. Before we go deeper, I want you to answer this in the comments. If presence plus respect corresponds attraction, what does control plus insecurity correspond? Write your answer below and make sure to like, subscribe, and share this with a friend who needs to hear this. Now let's talk about the behaviors that most older men don't even realize are quietly killing their chances with younger women. These are the mistakes that seem small, but in reality, they set off alarm bells in her subconscious, making her question attraction without even knowing why. Understanding these is crucial if you want to stop sabotaging yourself. The sixth thing younger women hate is neediness disguised as interest. Many older men think that showing attention constantly, checking in multiple times a day, or insisting on clarity about feelings signals care. In reality, it signals desperation. Psychology shows that attraction is fueled by subtle tension and unpredictability, not clinginess. When a man's attention feels like a requirement rather than a gift, it triggers avoidance. Women respond to emotional freedom to men who can exist fully in their own world while still choosing her. Being constantly available communicates insecurity, and insecurity is one of the fastest ways to extinguish desire. Seventh, and this is a huge one, is trying to control sexual energy. Older men often overthink intimacy, trying to impress or rush connection because they feel a biological urgency. Younger women are extremely sensitive to this pressure. The minute a man's energy becomes goal-oriented rather than experience-oriented, attraction plummets. Psychology reveals that women are wired to respond to men who exude calm, measured confidence, not desperation or calculated seduction. Forcing intimacy, or even over-planning it, triggers resistance because it bypasses emotional resonance. True sexual chemistry comes from ease, presence, and emotional alignment, not timing or manipulation. Another subtle but deadly mistake is undervaluing her intelligence. Older men sometimes assume experience trumps curiosity. When you dismiss her opinions, interrupt, or assume she doesn't understand, you create an invisible hierarchy. Women, regardless of age, are wired to detect patronization instantly. Being treated as less capable or naive triggers instant psychological distancing. Respecting her mind is not optional, it's foundational. Even small gestures that acknowledge her intelligence amplify attraction more than any display of money, status, or physicality. Then comes over-communicating intentions. Older men often feel the need to clarify feelings, plans, or long-term desires at every step. You think transparency will create trust, but here's the reality. Attraction thrives on emotional intrigue, not explanation. When every step is dissected and explained, it replaces mystery with obligation. Women crave a man who can hold his energy without constant validation or justification. Explaining too much kills the unconscious tension that fuels desire. We also need to address emotional rigidity. Older men often anchor themselves in routine, predictable thinking, or rigid moral frameworks. Younger women, by contrast, are drawn to adaptive, playful, emotionally flexible energy. When a man resists spontaneity, mocks modern trends, or dismisses new experiences, he signals stagnation. This is not about agreeing with everything she does. It's about demonstrating the ability to flow with life without losing your center. Emotional flexibility is magnetic. Rigidity is invisible. Another pattern younger women unconsciously reject is excessive self-focus. Older men, consciously or not, often center conversations on their achievements, struggles, or philosophies. While self-reflection is attractive, narcissistic self-absorption isn't. Women instinctively measure emotional investment by how much you attend to her experience versus your own. If 80% of your energy is about yourself, she mentally retreats. True attraction blooms when your attention enhances her reality rather than dominating it. Lastly, older men frequently misread vulnerability. There's a myth that emotional exposure equals attraction, but psychology shows that vulnerability must be strategic, not constant. Sharing pain, fear, or insecurity too soon creates emotional imbalance. Younger women are wired to detect and respond to emotional energy. They will lean into strength, not collapse. Authentic vulnerability communicates connection, but overexposure communicates dependency. Timing, balance, and emotional self-regulation are what separate a man who attracts effortlessly from a man who unknowingly repels. If you've noticed a pattern in yourself in any of these points, you're not alone. The difference between attraction and rejection isn't superficial, it's psychological, almost surgical. Women respond to emotional alignment, presence, and energy flow far more than any external factor. These mistakes are invisible traps, small gestures, subtle tones, misplaced intentions that older men repeat without awareness. Recognizing them is the first step to rewiring your approach. Here's a question for you before we continue. If neediness plus over-explaining plus rigidity plus repulsion, what combination do you think creates deep magnetic attraction? Write your answer in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with a friend who needs to hear this truth. Now that you understand the mistakes that push younger women away, let's explore the invisible forces that determine attraction, and why older men so often fail without even realizing it. This isn't about flashy gestures or smooth lines, it's about emotional truth, energy, and perception. One of the biggest misfires is assuming physical appearance alone sustains attraction. Older men often believe that staying fit or dressing well is enough to capture interest. And yes, appearance matters, but psychology shows that what truly ignites desire is emotional resonance. A younger woman senses your inner state more than your outer shell. Confidence, calmness, subtle humor, and controlled energy communicate power far more than looks. If you're tense, anxious, or preoccupied, even the best wardrobe or physique won't make her linger. Your presence must match your appearance. Next, let's talk about the fatal misinterpretation of emotional support. Many men think solving her problems, offering advice, or protecting her will create deep attraction. The truth is, younger women crave emotional validation, not direction. They want to feel understood, not managed. When you default to fixing, coaching, or instructing, you communicate that her emotions are inconvenient or incomplete. Subtle psychology teaches that emotional resonance beats problem-solving every time. Listen more than you advise, feel more than you lecture, and watch attraction grow. The fourth trap older men fall into is overconfidence masquerading as arrogance. There's a fine line between self-assuredness and dismissiveness. Younger women are experts at spotting subtle disdain. A man who constantly asserts he knows more, corrects her, or dismisses her opinions triggers psychological resistance. Confidence is magnetic when it inspires curiosity and comfort. Arrogance is repulsive because it creates tension and judgment. The energy you carry communicates far more than words or accomplishments. Another invisible misstep is failing to honor her autonomy. Younger women are wired to resist control, whether it's overt or covert. When you subtly try to influence her choices, her social life, career decisions, friendships, you break the invisible trust bond that fuels attraction. True influence comes from energy alignment, not directive behavior. You can inspire her without steering her, but most men reverse this, believing authority equals desirability. Psychology proves it's the opposite. Attraction skyrockets when a woman feels free yet connected, not managed. Then there's the subtle sabotage of impatience. Older men often want fast results, immediate validation, quick intimacy, or instant emotional alignment. Younger women, however, are highly attuned to pacing. Push too hard and you trigger resistance, move too slow and you lose interest. The paradox is that patience demonstrates confidence and emotional maturity, which are inherently attractive traits. Understanding the psychological rhythm of engagement is far more powerful than any strategy or technique. The sixth misstep is inconsistent energy. Younger women are acutely sensitive to emotional patterns. If your energy fluctuates wildly, intense one moment, distant the next, it creates confusion and anxiety. Women instinctively interpret this as a sign of instability or hidden agendas. Magnetic men maintain a consistent emotional baseline even in challenging or playful interactions. Stability isn't boring. It's a foundation for trust, excitement, and desire. Finally, let's examine the subtle trap of overfamiliarity too soon. Older men often believe experience gives them license to bypass natural stages of connection. They assume humor, teasing, or physical gestures will instantly build closeness. But when familiarity outruns emotional bonding, it triggers subconscious caution. Women are attracted to men who pace intimacy, physically, emotionally, and intellectually, according to energy resonance, not assumed permission. Overstepping this invisible line destroys intrigue, no matter how charming or well-intentioned you are. The invisible thread tying all these behaviors together is energy awareness. Every micro-expression, tone, and gesture communicates far more than words. Older men often think their intentions are visible, but women read underlying energy first and intentions second. Attraction isn't a checklist. It's a subtle, dynamic exchange of presence, respect, and emotional calibration. Miss these signals, and no amount of advice, experience, or status will save you. Before we move to the final section, here's a question for you. If patience plus emotional resonance plus autonomy plus deep attraction, what does overconfidence, ars plus impatience, plus inconsistency, arsas? Write your answer in the comments and make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend who really needs to hear these truths. By now, you understand the mistakes older men make. Subtle, invisible, yet devastating. Now it's time to flip the script. This is where awareness becomes power. This is where you stop chasing attraction and start embodying it. First, mastery of presence. Younger women are instinctively attuned to the energy you carry. Presence isn't about dominating a room, it's about being fully anchored in your own emotional state, calm, centered, and unshakable. A man who radiates presence doesn't over-explain, doesn't seek validation, and doesn't cling. He simply exists, fully engaged, and his energy pulls her in like gravity. Presence is emotional magnetism in its purest form. It communicates safety, strength, and intrigue without a single word. Second, respect for autonomy. Stop trying to mold her into your ideal or control outcomes. Instead, cultivate alignment. Listen deeply, respond with curiosity, and honor her choices, even when they differ from yours. When a younger woman feels respected and free, her attraction spikes. You don't need to influence her. Her psychology will naturally lean toward a man whose energy enhances hers rather than limits it. Remember, attraction thrives in the space between freedom and connection, not in coercion or guidance. Next, refine emotional calibration. The subtle art of adjusting your energy to match the moment is crucial. If she's playful, flow with humor. If she's serious, match composure. Emotional calibration isn't about faking, it's about self-regulation. This shows maturity, emotional intelligence, and confidence, qualities that younger women find irresistible. The men who fail here are either rigid or inconsistent, unknowingly creating tension that kills desire. Another critical factor is strategic vulnerability. Sharing too much too soon repels. Sharing nothing repels even more. The key is balance. Reveal glimpses of depth, humor, and personal insight in ways that enhance connection rather than burden her. Vulnerability should feel safe and intentional, like a bridge being offered rather than a demand for closeness. When executed properly, it builds trust, intimacy, and emotional attachment without triggering dependence. Then, cultivate patient engagement. Younger women respond to men who understand the rhythm of attraction. Impatience communicates insecurity. Patience communicates mastery. Give her space, create tension, and let chemistry unfold naturally. A man who can wait, observe, and respond at the right moments communicates power silently. He isn't anxious about results. He's confident in the process. This creates a magnetic tension that's almost impossible to resist. Consistency and energy is equally important. Be emotionally stable, predictable in your calmness, yet dynamic in your interactions. This creates trust and intrigue simultaneously. Women are drawn to energy that is reliable yet exciting, not volatile, desperate, or manipulative. Stability, when paired with subtle unpredictability, is an incredibly potent combination. Finally, understand the power of intrigue. Don't overshare. Don't overanalyze. Don't overplan. Attraction flourishes in the space between mystery and revelation. Allow her curiosity to grow naturally by demonstrating competence, emotional presence, and genuine interest without dominating the narrative. Let her discover layers of you gradually. This is where older men often fail. They reveal everything too soon, destroying the tension that fuels desire. The truth is simple. Younger women respond to energy, presence, respect, and timing far more than age, status, or experience. Stop trying to impress. Stop trying to control. Stop overthinking. Start embodying the qualities that resonate deeply on a psychological level: emotional balance, respect for autonomy, subtle vulnerability, and magnetic presence. This is the blueprint that turns attraction from fleeting to magnetic. Before you leave, here's a question for you. If presence plus patience plus emotional calibration, magnetic attraction, what does overconfidence plus impatience plus neediness? Goss. Write your answer in the comments. And don't forget, Like this video, subscribe, and share it with a friend who really needs to hear this. The men who understand these truths don't chase, they attract effortlessly. Now it's your turn.